Guys, welcome to another episode of Detective Pro Tips. I'm here today with the legend Ben of Gold Diggers.
I don't know about that.
And we're going to have a bit of a chat today about the XP ORX, which is one of the more popular VLF detectors heading around these days. So, Ben, what do you reckon of the ORX for prospecting?
I reckon it's a sensational little machine, to be honest with you. To start with, it weighs 800 grams.
Yeah.
850 grams. It's a lightweight, super compact. You can fold him up nice and small. The control box, and a big difference with this is it's all wireless.
Yeah.
So the control box is not connected, it connects wirelessly with the machine. So that's a fantastic feature, that you really only the coil and the control box and the shaft is just to
that's it.
help you hang on to it, sort of thing. So really, to get it going, okay, we may as well dive straight into it here.
Yeah, show us what we've got to do to start.
So when you first buy your machine, the coil and the control box won't be paired. It works through Bluetooth, okay? So on the front of the coil is your serial number.
Yep.
Now you need to key that serial number as it rolls off the table into your machine. So when you turn it on, let me just turn it around here, we'll turn him off again. When you turn it on, you hit the power button, okay? It comes up whether you want sound or not through your headphones or not. So for this point, we don't want it to be terribly noisy while I'm explaining this, so we will turn the sound off. It gives you that basic screen, okay? The screen has a ground balance number, what the ground is reading, and then what the machine is set to you. The most important thing with this thing is to have those two numbers identical. They are on the screen all the time for you. So, so those two numbers, and it's a one-touch ground balance. So you just hit the bottom button once, and it ground balances and makes those two numbers the same. So very simple sort of thing.
And the ORX can also give you a readout of the ground mineralisation as you're going.
Yes.
Can't it?
Yeah, it does. And that's a good indicator, because it constantly gives you what the ground mineralisation is. You can look for changes in mineralisation.
Yes.
So it's very handy to see that number and to go, hang on a minute, I just crossed over an area that changed ground balance dramatically. Maybe I should change tack from going this way and go along that and see if that ground mineralisation is an issue, sort of thing. So 4 modes. We're in mode 2, which is the fine gold, which is my favourite mode. This button on the far side here does the changes the modes. So there's 4 modes. So let me just get back to mode 1. Mode 1 is gold. I tend to like to use the mode 2, which is fine gold, and then the third mode, which is coin fast. The 4th mode is coin deep. You tend not to use that unless you're using it out of the gold fields.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, down at the parks or the beaches and whatnot.
Exactly, sort of thing. The fine gold and the coin fast are 2 very powerful programs. You can actually add 2 extra of your own settings to it.
Customize it
completely, and you can completely customize this machine. So so that's the basics of the machine. So of the control box. We might, if you're interested, we'll go through a few of the features in these other 2 menus.
Yeah, have a look at some of the
have a look at the menus. So basically, the first one is the option one, and it basically goes through where you can add your own programs. You can add your own. You can actually pair your coil here. You can also pair your pin pointer. So the pin pointer can work through your headphones, which is a huge thing if you're in a park and don't want to go anywhere. But it's also where you pair your coil when you first get the machine. So very simple to do. Headset pin pointer, that's what that menu does. The center menu starts talking about your discrimination levels, your sensitivity, and goes through reactivity, which is how fast the machine is, how quickly it recovers. the frequency. So this is a fully adjustable frequency machine. So when we talk about frequency, a high frequency gives you a good response to small targets.
Yeah.
A low frequency will give you a better response to a large target as well as a more noble metal. So if I was taking this machine into a old house site and I was hunting old silvers, I'd want to run
lowest
frequency possible, sort of thing. Now, it's not a multi-frequency,
no,
but I think having a selectable frequency has its advantages.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I might just dive into a few of these settings, particularly reactivity. Reactivity is how quickly the machine recovers from hearing a signal. Okay, so if you've got a rusty piece of iron and a silver coin, for instance, sitting next to each other, it's the ability to hear both of those targets instead of muddling them into one.
Exactly.
A lot of the sort of mid-range and above machines are very, very good at that.
Yes.
So reactivity is one little key there. So so that's basically the settings. You can put extra coils with it. The coils and the coils drive the frequencies.
Yes.
So the white coils are the high frequency coils.
Yep.
And the black coils are the low frequency coils.
Yes.
So that's basically what's in this little thing here. There is one thing I'll show you, is that if we get out of the menu system and we're back to the home screen, if you're trying to use this machine on the beach, if you hold down the hashtag key, which normally changes your programs, if you hold that down, you'll see up in the top there, it will give you a salt reading. So you can put it in salt mode.
Wow, that's handy.
Really, really handy on the beach and also in the salt lakes in WA, sort of thing. And to turn the salt off is you just hold it down again. So it has got a feature, the salt feature. It's actually not in the manual.
Very interesting.
So there's a pro tip to start with.
Very pro.
Yes.
Cool. So with all the settings and that in there, is it an easy machine for a beginner to pick up?
The trick with these XP machines is really, because you can change so much on these machines, is when you're a beginner, don't.
Yes, keep
right?
it simple.
And even changing programs changes the machine completely.
Yeah.
So if you're going, I like to tell people to stick to either foreign gold or that coin fast. If they're in the park or down the beach, put it in coin fast. If they're out in the goldfields, put it in fine gold, and do not change any settings to start with.
Keep it simple.
Okay. So that makes it a very, very easy beginner's machine. Sort of thing.
But you've got the versatility of being able to customise it to your liking.
Exactly. So its primary use is in the goldfields. Okay. And it's a very, very good goldfields machine. All VLFs in heavily mineralised ground can be fairly noisy. Okay. So I've spent a lot of time working this out, but I've got a step through, if you like, of what to do to settle a machine down to make it become more controllable. Because you don't want it noisy all the time, because you won't hear the targets. That's the biggest thing. So really, I would run it in factory preset. If it's too noisy, right, lift your threshold up. Okay. So lift your threshold. Factory preset is 3. I would tend to lift it to 4, then 5. What that does is, if you lift it too high, it'll mask those little signals. But when you lift that threshold up, what it's actually also doing is it's capping those that ground noise, so it smooths the machine out a little bit more. That's a big trick for a lot of VLF machines in the goldfield, sort of thing. The next step, if it was still hard to handle, I would probably lift my reactivity up. Now, what that's doing is when you lift your reactivity, it's standard factory preset's 2. When you lift your reactivity up, what it's doing is it's speeding the machine up So when it hears that little bit of ground noise, it quickly comes back
Yes.
and responds and gives you and tells you that's ground noise,
Yep.
but you don't miss any targets.
that's it.
So it settles it down a little bit because it's quicker and getting information quicker. Okay. Even if that's too hard,
Yep.
right? You need to sort of drop your frequency a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you like, when you've got a high frequency, it is looking for little tiny little bits of pieces. Okay, so for that machine to do that, it's very, very reactive as well to mineralisation.
Yes.
So it can hear those mineralisation bits as well as the small
Yes,
bits of gold.
yeah.
So if you were to turn your drop your frequency down, it just then brings
Yeah.
it down and settles
Quiets
it.
it down a bit, yeah.
yeah. And then the second last tip, because I've got another step in this process, but then it's drop your sensitivity. Once you're starting to drop your sensitivity below about 70, 65,
Yeah.
right, and you've done all those steps, and
Yeah.
you've worked through all those steps, right, I think it's time to go and do something else
Yep.
for the day. Because what can happen is that, particularly on a hot day with a VLF machine, a hot day, the ground's fairly dry, there are places that's very heavily mineralised that they're just unworkable.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to wait for the cool of the evening,
Yes.
or the cool of the morning, or some rain and put some moisture in
Yeah.
the ground. So the other little tip is VLF machines tend to pick up hot rocks,
Yeah.
right? Which are just a rock that's heavily mineralised.
Yeah.
And it's just, if the whole ground was that, you'd be able to ground balance it out.
Yeah.
But because you've got this little rock
Yeah,
that's an anomaly,
Yep.
the machine picks it up, it hears it. That's what
Yeah.
a hot rock is. If you were to switch it to coin fast mode, coin fast won't hear the hot rock.
Interesting.
Right? But you have to be careful doing that, because if it's a tiny piece of gold,
Yep.
you will tune that out
Yeah,
as well, sort of
exactly.
thing. So, but that is a little trick to flick between the two,
Yep.
just to give you a bit of an idea of what's going on.
Excellent.
So they're the sort of steps I go through to settle the machine, to tame the
Yeah.
machine. Because these VLF machines are very, very sensitive to, and they're good at finding little gold
bits.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a good little machine to get into the hobby and lets you do a bit of coin hunting and your gold prospecting as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it is a very, very powerful machine. It is extremely powerful. And it's the same as all machines.
Yeah.
You got to persist and you got to get good at it, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So it's planting targets,
Yep. Get out there and test
practicing,
it. Try it.
test it, practice, text it,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Alrighty, well, thanks very much for listening. Keep an eye out for part 2, where we'll actually get the XP ORX out in the field, give it a run through its paces and have a look at some of the settings we've been talking about. Don't forget, you can give us a buzz here anytime at all on the Daylight helpline, which will be floating around here somewhere. And thanks again for listening.
Thanks very much, folks.
Have a good one.